3, 2, 1. And roll it, baby. Another Wednesday in the city of goose chasing, where we're not chasing geese at all. We're chasing hopes, dreams, and inspirations, and the occasional velvet buck. How's that for a little intro, everyone, on this fine Wednesday?
How's that?
Are you getting fired up for bow season yet? Are you getting a little hot in your loins?
Getting fired up.
I'm getting fired up.
It's nice to see a couple of nice
Bruiser bucks.
bruiser bucks on camera. I feel like the last 3 years were just nothing during the summer.
Yeah.
Zero.
At least the last couple years, the last 2 years for sure. Yeah, it's been like, damn.
Yeah, it's like, get me excited.
What do you do it for? What are you doing it for? Well, I mean, the good news for that is outside of last year, despite the lack of activity in the summer, we've had some pretty good seasons. So you would think with a little bit more activity during the summertime, and I mean, it helps that we're watching deer in Kansas now. We're still watching, we still got a camera or two out in North Dakota, down here in Tennessee, Ohio, New York. Like we got it. We're spreading the cheeks pretty good,
Spreading the eyes out.
So we got a lot of eyes across the country via Moultrie Mobile, and that's helping for sure stimulate the loins a little bit and just get excited for the season.
Sure is.
I honestly, yesterday, I woke up, got up early with the dog, took her out, and it was like in the upper 60s here. And I walked outside, and I was like,
Feels good.
Oh, don't do that to me.
It was in the upper 50s here, so.
Oh,
I was
Lord.
really like, oh.
Oh, Lord, you are tickling the bow hunting stimulation right now. As soon as I walk outside, and it doesn't feel like I'm stepping into a sauna. Wow. It kind of smelled like North Dakota. It had that like fresh, just pure. And I'm like, where am I right now? Am I?
Some of those northerly winds are pushing down that North Dakota air.
Dude, I got the sensation of literally getting up in the morning and just walking outside, and it was kind of quiet here, which is very abnormal. But it was kind of quiet, and I like walked outside, and I was like, holy shit, I can feel it. I felt like I was walking out of the lodge, B1, just onto the gravel with my
and you can
with
hear
my cup.
every footstep.
And I can hear all my footsteps and footsteps from the neighbors. I sip on my coffee, I scratch my ass, and I'm just scratching.
Just scratching the heck out of it.
Because the skeeters were biting last night while we were scouting. So I got a couple of skeeter lumps on my ass. Oh, man, I can't wait, boy.
I can't wait either. Wow.
What's your favorite? What are you looking forward to the most for this upcoming season?
I mean, I don't have one thing, all of it. North Dakota is what you think about at the moment because that's what's coming first.
Because it's the first one, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's hard not to. It's hard to think past that.
It really is. Like I said, this is one of my favorite. Like when I was driving yesterday, just looking at corn growing and everything, you're like, man, this is just the time. I just love late.
Everything is flourishing.
It's not late summer right now, but that's my favorite time of year when everything's fully grown, crops are grown, bucks are grown, and it's just they're visible, and it's
the anticipation. It's like,
gosh damn it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just like I feel like that's almost the best time of year when you're anticipating, because like during the season, you've got like highs, obviously, and then you've got lows. But like right now, the build up from right now to the season, it's all high, you know?
Oh yeah,
It's
it's all
just a
high.
it's just a climb. So you're just locked into that. And as the bucks are growing, like now you get a buck on camera 2-3 days later, he shows back up on camera and he looks different. You know,
Oh yeah,
they're growing to that
fast.
magnitude right now. So wow. Gotta get in there.
Yeah, that's the best part because you don't, sometimes you don't see them for a week, and
Well,
they
yeah,
pop back up, and you're like, oh damn.
they're interesting creatures right now because they're not moving very far. So that tells you that you should get them on camera like daily, theoretically. But also they're not, maybe where you're getting them on camera is just kind of the outskirts of where they're normally moving or whatever. And they're still a wild animal, still, unpredictable, so to speak, at least this time of the year. So
Well, like in Ohio and areas where you're like people are feeding in the summertime,
yeah,
you can see them every day. In New
yeah,
York, I think like they're there.
right.
They're there, but
It's just a
you
matter
got
of
your camera on. I mean, we have them on clover plots, and
trails.
you got them on the spots where you think they spend the most time. But a lot of the bucks we're seeing right now are on clover plots, but all of our clover plots are pretty small, so they're not going to only be there.
Right.
They're just
Well, and they could go like in and out one of the back corners or whatever and completely miss a camera and you
which they do.
never know it. So, but it is very motivating to see them there. Makes you want to shoot your bow, tune your arrows, get your broadheads ready.
It's so funny too to see. Like we have one particular buck in New York that we only got 2 pictures of last year total in the summer, and then he's gone. But now he's with one of we call our resident bucks that stays there all year. So it's kind of intriguing. It's just funny how these deer move around and why do they decide to do this and that, and then like
Well,
where did you go? Where the
you
hell did you
mentioned
go?
that. Yeah, you mentioned that the other day. I mean, I would have never put that together. I didn't even know the buck that you were referring to. I thought was Lucky from last year,
Which I did
but
too originally.
but it wasn't.
It's not.
Brow tines are a dead giveaway, and then the buck that is with another deer, the resident deer that we call Tannehill, um, the buck that's with him now, we thought was another pretty resident deer, at least resident throughout the fall, who we call Freddie Flintstone. And so we're just thinking that it's them two, but now as the racks start to develop, you realize, no, 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 that ain't Freddie.
Well, yeah, and that Freddie was not. We never saw him in the summertime last year,
Right.
which normally they are very habitual with that kind of stuff. Like if you didn't see him in the summer last year, the chances are you're not going to see him in the summer again this year.
Yeah.
So, it's funny. Like this buck that's
When you,
with him right now, I like it's just going to be fun to watch him. But I fully, I hope he stays, but I fully expect him not to. So
well, it's one of those deer where like whoever's going to be hunting hard in the beginning of the season, you just hope that maybe he sticks around long enough in the beginning of that part, like that beginning part of October, and you can snag one. Like
yeah,
that would be huge because, like you
they're
said,
staged
yeah,
in.
they're more than likely. I mean, more than likely that deer is gone even before the season, let
Yeah.
alone like, throughout the bulk of the season, end of October into November throughout the rut. Like more than likely he's gone.
Yep.
We didn't get a photo of him with his rack after Velvet,
No,
right?
nothing after August. Nope.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's crazy to think about that, but like it's like that. Those are the deer where people are watching them all summer long, and they're like,
Look at the
I'm gonna
deer.
kill
Look at the
this thing.
deer. I'm about to go after him.
Opening day. I'm gonna kill this thing. Opening day, man.
No, you can't even.
He's in daylight every day, bro. You don't even
It
know.
just gets us excited for. You have to just let it get excited. Let it get you excited for deer season. But unless you know that deer sticks around, like if he's a buck that disappears, he's gonna do it again.
Yeah, more than
He's gonna
likely,
do it
yeah,
again.
he's gonna do it again, and yeah, they're just very interesting creatures. I mean, like you said, that Tannehill, the buck that he's with right now, literally summer all year,
Doesn't leave.
throughout the fall all year, and literally we're getting pictures of him from one end of our 200 acres all the way on to the other end, like the very
Full spectrum. Yeah.
far other end of our property. And literally there was probably never a week where we didn't at least see him on camera. Then you found his sheds really like right off of the clover plot that he's spending the most of his time in right now.
Yep.
And literally when the bucks just first started growing, I don't know, you can just this deer's body and everything, you could just tell
Who it is.
it's him. And lo and behold, it is.
It is. And it all. Yeah. It's funny right now. You can like they're they're just so behind in New York. I don't know why growing.
I
So
know.
like you see them and you're like, oh man, he's a nice buck, but they're not even close really to being
To being
done.
done.
And some of these
No.
other spots, they have like full racks.
It's so weird to me.
Because if you look at that other buck that we're referring to, that was only around a couple times last year in the summer, and look at what he looks like right now, you would have no idea that's the same deer. Because you
not
can't
if you were. Yeah, no, that's
just
why
not grown
we're
enough.
questioning it, right?
Just it's all about identifying by the brow tines, which is normally it's all you have to identify right now because that's what's there. But normally that's the key indicator.
Yeah, and it's the brow tines are fairly developed at this point. You
Yeah,
know,
they pretty much develop sort of fully first. Like
well, I mean,
once
they're
the
the
rack is
closest point to
halfway,
their head,
yeah, once the rack is halfway done, like as far as the main beams go, those brow tines aren't. They might, the stickers or whatever might develop a little bit more, but they're not growing much more than they have already.
right? And that's honestly for Dean and I. That is typically the first indicator of is this X deer from last year or not,
Yeah, it is.
because the brow tines typically don't lie. If they've got tall brow tines, more than likely the next year they're going to have tall brow tines again. If they're a little bladed, more than likely the next year they're going to be a little bladed. If one of them curls or whatever, more than likely the next year one of them's going to have a little curl in it.
If they
So
got like tiny brow tines or next to nothing, they're not gonna have big ones the next year.
yeah, they're not all of a sudden
They
going to
might
have
get a little
6,
bigger,
7
but
inch
they're
brow
no,
tines the next year. No.
but they're not gonna be big.
So that's typically the first indicator. And you can like there's certain bucks that blow up to, you know, having a lot more points than they did the year before or whatever. I mean, even the one buck that we're watching in Kansas, like he was a clean 8. Dean and I filmed him last year. He was a clean 8 with one flyer off of his, I think, left G2. This year, it's off of his right. The flyer is off of his right G2, but his brow tines are literally a dead giveaway to what the deer is. And it looks like he's going to be a mainframe 10 with
Yeah.
with extracurricular points in a lot of different places. But his brow tines are literally a dead giveaway. I mean, Dean and I have been watching this deer with Parker for the last month, pretty much. And right when Parker started sending us pictures of him, like Dean was like, that's that 8 point with the flyer. We filmed whatever it was, the second or third night we were there.
Yep.
Which is, yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool because his rack, I mean, now that you look at it, it is very similar. But if you were just gonna like go from last year to this year and be like, oh, he should be a clean 8 again, then you would not be thinking that this is the same deer, but it is absolutely the same deer. So,
It's pretty amazing what age does.
and
Age is demon.
sometimes just a year. Like it's that 1 year, and it could be 3 to 4, it could be 4 to 5, maybe 5 to 6, but they get, they get that 1 year where they just blow, and it's like, holy shit. Crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny. You can get a buck at 3 years old and think what he's like. He's up. This deer's never going to be huge, or he's never going to be this.
Right.
And you just don't know. You don't know because he doesn't have age yet, and that's the number
Right.
one factor. And that's just the number one factor. And you can do all you want to help bucks grow. You can do all you want, but if they don't get the age, you don't see the potential.
No.
Are you
Age
lagging?
over
You're lagging.
beauty. I am lagging. Yeah,
You're okay right now, but you were.
I know your photo or your picture is a little fuzzy. We got a little technical difficulties, had a little internet malfunction. Could have been on both ends, could have been on Nashville end. We don't know. We don't care, but we're back here with you. So, and the good news is it took so long that Dean's got to go here shortly. So, we're going to finish up here with Dino, and your boy is going to be taking you along for the rest of the ride this morning, evening, whenever you're
and
listening to this.
and what a ride it'll be.
And what a ride it'll be. Get on, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride of the goose chasing another goose.
There's just so much to do and so little time.
I know. I mean, I feel you. I mean, this time of year, it's like the days are longer, but it's like, are they? Are they longer? Because it feels like they're getting shorter.
No, it does. It is insane. Yeah. There's always
You just want a
go
little bit more time. A
go
little
go
bit.
go 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 go. It's honestly insane. I was thinking about this the other day how crazy like the winter sucks.
Yeah.
Not because of the cold weather. The time of day light hours is horrible.
Well, and then,
Horrible.
you add in, like, especially up north, northeast Ohio, western New York, it's gray a lot. It just is. So even the daylight hours that you got are sometimes they're kind of dim,
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
dim, but it just sucks in general. Like a year, well, whatever. The last couple years we've gone to Florida in January. It sucks. Florida
Yeah,
in January is not cool
because
because
it's
you're
dark by
thinking
5 o'clock.
you're thinking about having a nice dinner at 7:30 with a sunset. No, it still gets dark early down there.
Still getting
And
dark at
sometimes it's
five
earlier
o'clock.
actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. But yeah, it's just a winter thing. I can't stand that. And then when are we as a society, are we gonna figure out this daylight savings time? Are we gonna get rid of that or what? I mean, or
People are talking about it every year.
yeah, it's great. Let's keep talking about it. It's
I
great. Good
I
job, guys. Way to be progressive.
I thought this past spring, I thought that was the last one. I
I thought
thought
it
that
was too.
I
And
thought
then
that
it
was the
just keeps
thing.
happening.
It's
It makes
unbelievable.
zero sense. Why are we switching time?
Well, back in the day, before they had technology, it was for the farmers. It was for the
But
workers.
who gives a shit? Why what so now you can work an hour earlier instead of an hour later? Just work when it's
Well,
daylight. What's the difference?
back in the day, they were closed-minded people. You know what I mean? I mean, just that, it had to be done at a certain time.
You
So
can't
instead
work
of adjusting it for the daylight that was lacking, they adjusted the time accordingly. I agree. It doesn't make any sense.
like
And then you go
if
there and
it's
then you go back. Are we the only society that does that? Like, does everybody do that?
no, they have to. It's got to be everybody. Otherwise, I think
Universal? over across the world? I thought other people weren't doing this, but it's
No,
got.
it's got
I
to
mean,
be
they kind of
everybody.
have to because,
Yeah, from a business
well,
standpoint,
I mean,
you can't just
all of a
change
sudden
time for no reason.
you're in Ohio and you're on Central Time.
Yeah,
You know,
right. You can't. You got to switch.
the rest of the world's on the. Yeah, I guess.
What a
So
dumb thing.
everybody's switching. So like the Japanese are just moving. Like they're smart people. They're moving their clocks back and forth.
I don't know, but it is the most illogical thought process on the
Out
planet.
there, really.
Well, at least I would rather it be dim, dark until 8:39 in the morning for those. I mean, I know that's late, but for
Yeah,
those couple months and at least give you till 6
right.
with some daylight, then 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's getting dark. No, no thanks. You can't, like, that time of year, if you're going to work in the dark anyway, then just leave it dark until 9 a.m. so you can at
Right.
least leave work in somewhat of daylight.
And see the light of day, because that's rough. I mean,
Dark,
if you're working in an office or you're working in a inside in a factory or something like that, and you're
you
going to
don't see.
work in the dark and you're leaving in the dark.
That's a rough couple months.
As humans, we need sunlight. We need vitamin D.
Like, quite literally,
A lot of every day.
for your
Every
health,
day. We need
mental
like
and
we literally
physically. It's
we need it. We're like
lizards,
plants, yeah, and lizards and shit. And you
snakes.
feel better.
You
It's
gotta.
energy.
There's a reason they go out onto a rock and just sit there.
Right. Take it all in, baby. Take it all in. There's probably this is why bears are just like, fuck it. We're
Just
gonna
gonna
sleep
climb into
till
a
the sun.
hole.
We're gonna sleep till the sun comes out more
Yeah.
again. See you guys there.
I mean, Gary Brecka, that he says you gotta wake up in the morning, do your breath work. You gotta take your socks off and walk on some bare ground.
You
You
got to
gotta
get
get
the
grounded. You
alkalinity
gotta
of the
feel
earth.
the earth with your toes.
You got to get the alkalinity of the earth.
And then you gotta take your shirt off and let that sun beat on you a little bit. Well,
I
there's
typically
there's
do
my
do
daylight
that.
savings time rant.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, if you got to take off, you go get after it, cuz. You go get after it.
Someone's got to manage these people and crop.
He's got a lot of people he's managing. He's got a lot of
As soon
crap
as
he's managing.
as soon as I'm like, okay, finally, I can take a breath with the land management stuff. You can't.
No, I mean, no, you can't, because it's July.
Because nothing ever works. Yeah, nothing ever works smoothly anyway. So even when you're like, oh, okay, I sprayed these beans, I sprayed this corn, whatever. You go back a week later and you're like, oh, it didn't work. Nothing's dead. So I gotta go do it again or something. Or hell, there's a groundhog eating half my field. Okay, now I gotta sit here like an a-hole and try to kill this thing for an hour. But you literally have to do it. Otherwise, everything you just did for the last 2 months is gone.
Wash.
So it's a
Good
never-ending
night.
battle.
See you later. Yeah.
It's so crazy. If it's not a crow, it's a groundhog. If it's not a groundhog, it's literally the deer
Or a coon. Or the
It's
turkey.
yeah. Something is always messing with you.
I mean, even once the crops are grown and shit. Like, think about a flock of turkey. Flock of 50, 60 turkey come through a 3-acre bean field.
They're doing damage.
They're doing damage.
No, there's just something at every point in the growth stage. It's groundhogs early, and then you're like, okay, I got them under control, and then all of a sudden your corn gets up tall and it gets whatever milky, and now all of a sudden the raccoons decide to climb every stalk and knock every freaking corn stalk over.
Give it the old skin of the cat.
Skin the cat like Nicky the cat, knock them things right over. And then but Yeah, it's insane. And before that, it's like this year. Last year, the deer didn't touch our corn. Didn't touch it. Now it gets a foot tall, and the deer literally will take sections and just mow it right down to nothing.
What the fuck?
Gone. Corn's gone. Like not recovering from that. It's insane. Why?
That's
Why
so
this year?
weird. Yeah, why?
Weird, but it's always something. You just be a farmer. They say it'll be fun. They say
Mother Nature is quite unpredictable.
there's always a challenge, but
I was talking to Joe, North Dakota Joe, yesterday,
oh nice.
and he said that they've had like literally, it's gotten they've gotten a lot of rain to the point where they were nervous about like too much rain at some points, but now it's like 50s at night, 70s, mid 70s during the day, sunny, but just cool, like
Not
just a
hot.
nice summer. And he's like, man, if we got a little bit of heat with some consistent sun for a few days for the row crop, they would really pop, especially with the moisture that's already in the ground. But he's like, the growing season here is exceptional.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's funny that the beans and the corn, they love that heat. You can literally tell if you get like 4 or 5 days of close to 90, they'll grow a foot
Get
or
up
more.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really
Well,
stretch their legs
especially
up.
if they already have moisture,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if it's too dry, then you'll burn it out. But if they already have moisture and they can just use that moisture and then the sun and the heat to sprout and grow, I mean, hey, what do we say? We need sun, people. What do the beans need? They need sun. Corn, sun.
Yeah.
Makes the world go round.
It's essential for life.
Makes boobs grow.
Why is the sun good? Why is the sky blue? Our boobs good.
Our boobs good.
They
Why do
just
I
are.
like cheeseburgers? I don't know.
Just good.
Well,
Well, folks, it's been real. Sorry for the mishap and internet technical difficulties.
yeah, we'll get back to you next week. I'll take this from here. I got
All
the
right,
wheel.
boys.
You got that can you send me the rest of your Food Plot Chronicles footage
Yeah.
before you leave?
Yeah. Add it to the list.
Yeah, no, I just want to get it
Okay.
stay
Yeah.
ahead of it. So,
All right. Well, peace out, folks.
all right, see ya. All right, folks, it's just you and me. We're going to take this out into the sunset. We're going to scoot around a little bit. We're going to see how it goes. So yeah, we've got Food Plot Chronicles just launched. As we were talking about food plots and land management stuff and all that good jazz. Food Plot Chronicles just launched this past weekend. First episode is out. We are doing things a little bit different this year for good reason. Things in years past, basically what we've done is kind of taken you through like a day by day chronological order of how we do things on each one of our plots and kind of staging them throughout the summertime so that the people that were listening, the people that were watching could just follow right along with us and maybe apply it to their own plots and such. But this year, we're going to be doing things a little different. We're going to dive deeper, little strategic setups of our food plots, what we plant in them and why, and also the ambush setups, whether it be via tree stand or via ground blind or box blind or whatever in the surrounding areas. So, and then we're going to talk about entry and exit routes. Very important. We're going to kind of have a recap of, what we've done to plant the fields and then what they look like towards the end. So it's just going to be all different this year. And I'm really excited for it because it gives us an opportunity to just kind of spread our knowledge. Not that we're right by any means, but we have had some decent success for ourselves, especially up in New York where we plant all these food plots and such. New York is not the most coveted whitetail state. So the success that we've had up there is fairly notable, I would say. Just given the fact that, yeah, New York is not a coveted state that you'd be like, yeah, if I got one state to go to this year to go whitetail hunting, I'm going to go to New York. Hell yeah. So the fact that we've done it up there and had a little bit of consistent success with it, I think is telling. So if you guys can learn something from us and apply that to what you're doing on your land, in your land management with your deer herd, and it basically can fast track that a little bit for you. We've gone through years and years of kind of trial and error, a lot of error that helped with the trials. um, but a lot of just kind of mistakes, a lot of things that we've learned along the way, a lot being learned the hard way, that we feel like we can relay so that anybody else that's just starting in this or that wants to get into some land management stuff and planting food plots and whatnot, maybe that can help kind of bridge the gap and lessen that time of learning and just get to the time of good food plots, good deer hunting, and great land management. So that's why we're here. But the first episode just came out last week. It is on a field that we call Santa's Field. And we actually acquired 30 acres last year that's adjacent to our land that is right across from Camp Cutlet. And this 30 acres has I'd probably say like 10 to 12 acres of tillable ground on it. And last year, Dean literally took one of the fields. It's like a 3-acre hay field. And he took it from basically a hay field like we've known it for the past 30 plus years that we've been alive. This field, at least to our knowledge, well, not really to our knowledge, because I guess to our knowledge, I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but this field has never been planted since we've been up there, since we've been alive. So naturally, the soil's a little firmer, the soil's a little more acidic, and there hasn't been any other crops other than the natural grasses and hay that are already in the field planted in there. So typically, we were talking to some people and they're like, you have zero chance of growing a row crop in that ground this year. Well, Dino's the mad scientist. Sorry, tired today. Dino is the mad scientist, and he was able to grow some corn. Now, he wasn't particularly thrilled with that corn, although there was still an abundance of food in there. There was deer feeding in the field probably through February of last year. So there was definitely some corn, although after planting it for a year and seeing it, seeing what it did, we kind of realized it was probably about a third, maybe about half the amount of food that could actually be in there. So if we can really get this field right, it could attract and hold a lot of deer, more of a destination plot. But basically what we've done in this first episode is we had to move an elevated box blind. We had a soft shell elevated blind up on the top of this field. One of the blinds that was just kind of a junker, I guess, that we put up there last minute right before Dean planted the corn last year. And just to have a spot, it's a great spot kind of up on the apex of this hill where the hill tapers off on both sides, the blinds up on the apex of it. So you can see down towards the road, and then on the back side of the field, which is actually secluded from the road, you can see down that way as well. You could shoot the whole thing. You could see the hardwoods down below where the deer are bedding and kind of coming up out of. So when there's snow on the ground, this elevated blind area is awesome. The only problem is that the predominant westerly winds, especially in the fall, are literally coming right from your back. So not that you would really ever hunt this particular blind with a west wind, but with a northwest or maybe a southwest, you would probably take your chances if you had a hard blind up there. So that's why we moved a fiberglass blind up there so that it would conceal our scent a little bit more. And that we could take chances on this particular field because it's such a destination field late season. So we moved an elevated box bind up there. We got it into place. It's in an awesome spot. It's a Banks blind. It's got vertical windows, all along the sides. It's got a horizontal window in the center. Very good viewage, actually a lot better viewage than the soft shell blind that we had up there originally. And now that it is a hard blind, we can take our chances with certain different winds and keeping the windows closed while we're up there. And hopefully, especially, reading the trail cameras, if you see a trail camera with a deer, that a target buck is in the closest bedding area or maybe the next closest bedding area, just based on where we have these trail cameras set up at. And you kind of can have a good educated guess on where he's going to come from, then taking a chance on some of these westerly winds will be, not as bad. And quite honestly, taking a chance on the wind is more for probably the other deer as opposed to like him. So it's basically, that hard blind is going to give you an opportunity to get in there, stay concealed with the other deer in the field until he gets out and hopefully gives you a chance. So got that elevated box blind moved. We have an XOP hung in the adjacent corner or actually across the field, like kind of in the back corner from the blind, and you access the stand completely in the other direction, completely 180 degrees in the other direction from where you access the blind. So the stand gives us a completely different access, completely different winds. It's set up on the top of this really tall ridge. So the westerly winds, north, south, or westerly winds, the wind kind of blows out over this ridge and into the abyss. And so you've got the whole field in front of you where deer can walk in front of you and not really catch a whiff. And then other than if they're all the way down and on the other side of this valley, they can travel below the tree stand and they should really never catch a whiff of you. So it's actually a pretty cool setup, two pretty cool setups to cover this entire field and have a couple different wind options. The tree stand will probably get hunted more like late October and into November when the deer are running during the rut. There's always typically a scrape on that back corner of the food plot, like within bow range of the tree stand. So that makes it nice, and you can kind of monitor the field, what's coming in and out of it, the deer that are, traveling through there and whatnot. So that's cool. And then we will take you through actually planting that field. But next week, we are going to be talking about our clover plots and how they have become such a large portion of what we do, such a large portion of like the land management strategy. And you can see why right now we've got deer hammering these clover plots. Dean just cut them about a week or a week and a half ago, and the deer have just poured into them. There's bachelor groups of bucks that are hammering the clover. That's getting them a ton of protein, hopefully adding some inches to the bone. And it's cool to be able to see how those are working now that we've really dialed those clover plots in. But my point was, next week we have a clover plot that's just over the hill, closer to the one bedding area from the cornfield that we talk about in Food Plot Chronicles this week. And we used that earlier in the season for the deer coming up to the destination cornfield, even later into October. It's a little bit closer to like a main bedding area. It is completely secluded from the road, and it's not that big of a plot, but it provides a great opportunity for daylight activity. And right now the deer, and especially the bucks, are in there all throughout the day because of how close it is to the bedding area. And because of its seclusion, there's nothing that, you know, spooks them or anything back there. It's just a really cool spot. So we kind of worked the two plots in tandem with each other, and we utilize trail cameras to see how the deer are using one plot and then making it to another, and when they're making it to that one, and just trying to time it all up. So we're basically going to kind of strategically take you through our entire property this year on Food Plot Chronicles and explain to you how we have it set up and why. And after this year, you're going to be able to see the big picture of our couple hundred acres and how we've dissected it, how we hunt it, and how we've had success in the past. So hopefully it can help a person or two in, taking a little bit of the knowledge that we've gained over time and utilizing it on their own property and for their own success. So we're excited about that. Editing that project is exciting to me. And when I get excited when I'm editing it, like any project, whether it's our own, whether it's a project for a client, when I get excited while I'm editing it, that's how I know that we're really onto something. So I'm excited about the people that get to watch, the people that follow along. We appreciate all you guys, and especially with this Food Plot Chronicles series, because of the excitement and just the motivation that I have while I've been editing that. So if you haven't already, go to our YouTube channel and check that out. We will have another one at the end of this week coming out, like I said, on our clover plots. And that's one that, for anybody that's getting into or wants to get into creating food plots, has never done it before, doesn't know where to start, a clover plot is a great place to start, because you need minimal equipment in order to get the clover planted. Clover is as far as maintenance and stuff goes, it's fairly easy to maintain compared to like planting corn or beans or even some of the brassicas blends that we plant towards the end of the summertime. So like, if I was going to recommend a food plot to plant to anybody that's never planted before, clover is the place that I would start. You're going to get you should get the results in year one. It's fairly easy to plant with minimal equipment. And clover's a perennial, so it will come back and grow. It'll really be the first thing that grows up the following year. It's great for turkey, great for deer to replenish after a long winter. And one, like, you can just improve the clover by spraying some of the grass out stuff on the clover. That'll kill like the grasses and stuff, and then just overseeding clover instead of literally having to completely till it or plow and disc the whole field and replant again. Like I said, minimal equipment, and you can get a pretty solid clover plot that can be fairly effective, especially depending on in proximity on your property or kind of geographically where that thing lies in relation to, a deer's bed and maybe some other bigger food sources. So yeah, I would encourage y'all to follow along. Like I said, if you don't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can follow along with each episode. We'll have a new episode airing every Friday from now through probably the middle of August. So that'll be fun. And yeah, I am getting fired up for the season. I am so looking forward to North Dakota. I've been shooting my bow constantly. These new Hoyts for me are shooting like a champ. I'm getting stronger. I can feel that. And so that's boosting my confidence. And yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait for the season. Can't wait to get rolling. And as Dean and I were talking about earlier on in this podcast, it's just the anticipation and this time of year is honestly one of our favorites because of that anticipation. And it just feels like you're riding the all-time high to get to the season. So hopefully everybody's feeling the same way. Hopefully everybody's going to be able to get out and start shooting their bows a little bit, start practicing now. So you can build that confidence, you can build that repertoire and that consistency up as you get to the season. The more consistent you can be with your shooting, the more confident you are, and the more variables that you can take out as guessing points in your game, whether it's tree stand setups, entry and exit routes, maybe it's getting another trail camera or two or getting a cell camera or two so that you can see and monitor your property a little bit better. But definitely with what you can control in your shooting, I think it's so important to control that to the best of your ability and not just pull the bow off the shelf, midway through August or midway, beginning of September or whatever, dust it off and start shooting again and expect that you're going to be right, you know. Archery is definitely habitual. So, if you've been doing it long enough, a lot of times you can pick that bow up off the shelf. You could take a couple shots and you can get back into a groove fairly quickly. But the consistency of shooting builds confidence to where you pick up that bow and you're like, it's not automatic, but it's pretty damn close to automatic. So for me, that's a goal that I have. Like, I know there's a lot of variables in hunting that are out of my control, the weather, the deer movement, the wind switching, whatever. But what is in my control is my ability to shoot my equipment, my ability to be confident in that, and, confident in carrying that to the field. And it's not only for myself, but it's for the animals that we pursue. We owe it to them for a merciful and very quick and humane and ethical kill. So that's my 2 cents. We appreciate you guys hanging around on this week's episode of Goose Chasing, episode 59. It is crazy. Next week will be episode 60, and we cannot thank y'all enough for continually hanging out with us, ingesting all of our content. If you will, or if you don't already, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. Obviously, subscribe to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to have you follow along. We are going to be ramping up the content the closer we get to the season. We got Food Plot Chronicles coming out every week. We've got a new series coming out in a couple weeks called After the Chase, which we are really excited about as well. And that's going to lead us right into our first trip of the year in October in North Dakota. So super excited, super pumped. Can't wait to get started. Can't wait to bring you all along the journey. We thank you once again for your continual support. It means the world to us. Y'all are making our dreams come true, so we can't thank you enough for that. And we'll see you right back here next Wednesday on Goose Chasing. Have a great week, everyone. Peace.